morning. What do you say good morning in Ukrainian? Доброго ранку. Доброго ранку. Доброго ранку. Доброго ранку. Доброго ранку. All right. And then Zawan. That means good morning in Chinese. Okay. So this morning right now, we are going to do a foundational talk. And this foundational talk is covering what are the foundations of setting up your startup business, but also the foundation of what needs to be there, what info needs to be there when you're pitching to an investor. Okay, so I thought about giving you this presentation last night, so you could work on it last night, but I decided that by that time, you guys were brain dead. And so I decided to wait till this morning when you're fresh, and then you can be paying attention and soak in all of this that we're going to cover. Ready? Where's Anna? Anna? Is it Anna? Where's the team, the VR team? Oh, yeah. You're Anna, right? Oh, okay. I was going to talk to her in Spanish. All right, so it's venture fundamentals. What you, okay. It's on. Okay. All right. Here we go. Venture fundamentals. Do you see this folder right here? It's kind of small, so let me tell you what it is. What this folder is a folder in my computer of all the copies of my investor presentations during a fundraising round. Okay? And we were trying to raise $10 million. And we finally did raise $10 million. How many investors do you think we pitched to? What? Not quite that bad, because it was a better time. But we did 100 presentations to 40 or 40 plus investors. And in the end, only 2 invested in us, each for $5 million apiece. So we were being rejected and rejected and rejected and rejected, right? But what happened is, after compiling all the questions that were asked of us, it actually distilled back to the same list of questions. And that is the list of questions that you need to answer, and every investor will ask in order before they will give you funding. And I put together this presentation with these questions, and I showed it to one of my VC friends who was going to MIT to teach entrepreneurship. And he said, oh, Gigi, this is a great presentation. It captures all the questions. Do you mind if I use your presentation? And I'm like, no. I mean, it's kind of flattering that he's using my presentation. And he said, yeah, if you don't mind, I'll just change some of the examples for, to his own. So I got validation that the presentation that I had created was the right one, capturing what investors wanted. Do you guys want to know what investors want? What? Return of investment. But another question I'm going to ask you first is, in every startup, who is the first investor? It's the founder. It's you. Because you're putting your money into it, maybe, and you're putting your time into it. And with that time, you could actually be making more money. But you're putting your time to it. So in essence, you are investing in your own company. So guess what? You better answer these questions or you're wasting your own money.
Could you mute your laptop, please? Sorry.
Oh, yes. Is that better?
I think so, yeah. I think so. Thank you.
Say hi to the people in Ukraine.
Hi, Ukrainians.
Hi, Ukrainians. I hope that's better. Okay. So the questions you'll answer are, what is that big need or opportunity? Like, what is the problem you're trying to solve? The second is, what is the target market? Who is your target market? Who is the person you're solving the problem for? And what is your solution? What are you doing? And investors want to know these questions close to upfront. They don't want to hear about any of these at the end. They want to have these upfront so that it frames them on how to evaluate everything else that you're talking about. Okay. And then what are the benefits for the customers? What is the impact of what you're doing? It has to be a big impact. How do you make money? And what is your name again? Natalia. Like Natalia said, investors of what they care about by definition is investors invest money in something to get a return. So how you make money is very important to them, because if you don't make money, they won't make money. And then how are you going to go to market? Okay, you've got a great product, you have a good idea on how to make money, but then how are you going to go to market? How are you going to get your idea out there? Especially if you're an introvert and you don't want to talk to anyone, who's going to hear about this great product that you developed? The next one is, what is the traction that validates your venture? So, you know what? If someone's going to sell you a new car, and it's a totally brand new car, you're going to be hesitant. This car hasn't been tested. Does it drive well? Do people like it? Right? Whoever does the first, there's no history. There's no proof. And it makes it a little bit more questionable whether or not you want to buy that vehicle or buy that thing, right? The same with an investor. If there's no proof that someone loves your product, there's no proof that other investors love what you're doing, there's no proof that partners want to partner with you, that means you have no traction. And traction it's a tricky word, it's a Silicon Valley word. It really is about validation. And the way the word comes from is, who drives here? Okay? So, when you drive, right? What causes the tires to grab on the road to move forward? Sorry, what causes the tires to grab the road and move forward? Like they hold the road. Yeah, that word is traction. And the same thing, the same analogy is, if your business is doing well, it's got traction in the market and it's moving forward. Does that make sense?
Could you please give a couple of examples for specific businesses, what traction?
Yes, absolutely. I'm gonna do it later on, but an example of, a great example of traction is, what is the solution you guys are doing?
We are providing a marketplace where we connect job seekers with employers and HR people to look into the job seekers and CVs and giving them improvements for that.
Okay, great. So, if you can tell me, what's the name of your platform?
Haven't agreed on that yet.
Okay, resume reader, okay? So, resume reader. We have launched the service 2 weeks ago, and we already have 2 companies in Oxford signed up to review the resumes. We also have a list of 100 students on the wait list waiting to get on and submit CVs when the platform is ready. Does that look like traction? It's anything to show proof that it's not just you that loves resume reader. You want to show that other people believe in it, other people want to use it, other people want to invest in it.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Yes.
But this example is mostly drawing. So basically, with this example of traction, we would want to get serious one.
They may like the idea, like in the case that I told you of Canva, when I told you about Canva, and they had hardly anything, but Melanie Perkins had a really good dream, right? What's his name? Guy Kawasaki said that's good enough for me. And in terms of investors, you've got a wide range of investors. You've got investors who are more financial. Show me exactly the return and show me minimal risk. And to me, those investors are more bankers. At the opposite end, you have the very visionary investors like Tim Draper of Draper Fisher Jurvetson. Like Tim was always been the visionary. You present something to him and he's like, ooh, wow, and you could do this and you could do this. So Hotmail was the first online internet email. It is free, and they present it to him. And most people go, a free email? How's that gonna make money? But Tim was like, oh, wow, this email, because it's free, adoption will be really quick, and we can use each and every email to be a marketing carrier. And so he invested in Hotmail. And 2 years later, they were bought for $150 million by Microsoft because he saw the vision. So there's the visionary VCs who I love, and then there's the bean counters, who are basically accountants and bankers. And so when you're doing seed money, you're not usually talking to investors at the high level. You're talking to like rich angels, or you're talking to friends and family. In the very early stage, your money will come from yourself, and then F, and F. And F is friends, families, and fools. Yeah. Okay? So,
Let me ask you about go-to-market.
we'll talk about that. Yes, Anna? Yep.
Our users are the students and professionals, but people that they are the manufacturers or customers. In this case, which group of structures do you want to organize?
In the case that you're talking about, either. And let me explain. In the case of Google, who are the users? Us, consumers. Who are the buyers? Advertisers. So in the beginning, when Google first started, they got millions of users, and then they got millions of funding. before they ever got someone to pay for anything. So Anna, in the case is, in Google's case is that investor stock. You can get tons of people using your platform. We have their eyeballs, their attention. We'll figure out a way to monetize it. Okay? Okay, who are the competitors? You absolutely have to identify your competitors. And who is on the team? We talked a lot about that yesterday, right? Team, team, team. And then lastly, you've got to have your financial projections. Okay. So, I'm gonna try one thing. Can you guys back there see the screen clearly? Huh?
Yeah.
Okay. So the big customer need. If you create something that's just a little bit better, like for example, I had the iPhone 15 Pro Max, okay? And then 9 months later, the 16 came out. Am I gonna buy the 16? No, it's just not that much better. My last phone before this was the 11, okay? And so for someone to buy something, it has to adopt something new. It has to have significant more value. And so for something to have impact, it's gotta offer significant more value. So, and you need customers with that who will pay. If you look at iPad, right? Who was Steve Jobs trying to target with the iPad? Which customer segment? Yes, come on, stimulate. And you know, even if you say, if you don't get the right answer, you're thinking.
iPad kids.
The iPad kids. So let me ask you, Evan, you're obviously from a well-off family. They're sending you to Oxford to go to college. Okay, would your dad and mom buy you a $500 toy that was unproven when you were 10 years old?
We did have an iPad back then, so.
But they didn't give you one?
Yeah.
Okay, because,
They really restricted my usage, because they knew this was gonna be.
okay,
Yeah.
so kids was not the target
It
segment.
was us.
Got it? Who do you think was the target segment for iPad?
Tech geeks.
Tech geeks? Yeah, you think everything's about you, Danny. Students? What? Older people. Yes, it was actually targeted at older people. And the thing is, Steve Jobs would go over to the Apple store close to his house and he would look. And when he looked, what he noticed was the older people would come in with their grandkids to the store. The kids are racing around, playing with the iPhones, playing with the computers. And the old people are like, they can't see the iPhones because they don't have their reading glasses. The big computers were too scary. My mom thought, I said, Mom, I sent you a recipe. Look at it. You go to Dad's computer. Oh no, oh no. If I touch that computer and press that button, it's gonna explode. So computers are scary. And so when iPads came, so he thought older people need a user-friendly device to get to the internet. And so he came up with the iPad. And my aunt, who's 75, she has 3 of them. And she keeps buying every new one and she sleeps with them. She has a lime green one, an orange one, and because it was the perfect device for her. And so, and another thing about old people is old people don't have to pay bills anymore. They don't have to pay for kids, expensive kids like Evan's college education. And, you know, they don't have to pay for it much besides themselves. And they're not going to live that long, so they have a high disposable income. Make sense? So that's what. Another thing is there needs to be significant market potential. If you develop a solution where there's only 200 customers in the world, are you going to make millions of dollars? No, unless you sell it for $1 billion to those customers. So you want to quantify the market size. just for fun, creators of huge value. What value did she create? We're in Oxford. Madame Curie, what did she create?
She found out
She found out radioactivity that led to
creation of subsequent, infestations and weapons.
and X-rays. Okay? So at the end of the day, her work in X-rays led to, her work in radioactivity led to X-rays, which led to non-invasive diagnosis of what's wrong in your body. Think about how many lives it saved that people weren't cut and getting infected. Is that crazy? I mean, was that huge? And it was a woman. Okay, what did Thomas Edison invent? What value did he create? Yeah, he invented the light bulb. And what value does that give us?
Cheap light. You can work into the night easily.
You can look into the night easily. So in his essence, he gave us the light bulb, which gave us more time in our lives that is productive. Isn't that amazing? Oh, do you guys know this woman? I'll talk about her later. She is, you guys know a brand called Spanx? Huh? Spanx? They don't have it here? Spanx is a brand in the US and it's underwear that pulls you in and makes you look trim and pretty. And like everyone going to the BAFTA Film Awards or the Academy Film Awards, I guarantee you, they are all wearing Spanx. And so Sarah Blakely started a billion-dollar company with this shapely underwear, and she's a billionaire because she has given to every woman a chance to look gorgeous. Don't you think that's a big value? Collins? You're Colin, right?
No, I'm not Colin.
Oh my God, what's your name?
I'm Jay.
Jay. I don't call you Colin. Who's Colin? Colin's back there.
Connor.
Connor. Jay, Connor.
I was wondering if that was somewhat on me.
Okay. Oh no, okay. Anyway, Adam, can you come up here?
Demonstrate Spanish.
I don't know. This was a part of the script, was it?
Yeah, this is part of the script. You know, I make up the script as I go. Okay, you guys, this is Adam Davidson. He was a student at actually, he came to my Berkeley boot camp 4 years ago, and he was a student at Exeter. And then now he's graduated and he has his own company. And he is here for the next 2 days to help mentor.
Good to meet you all. Yeah, sat in your seat and I have my own business, which I started at the boot camp, and then I'm also a lecturer at Exeter part-time, so hopefully I can share some wisdom and give you a different perspective.
Yep. And he had some fun times at Berkeley. I gotta pull up those pictures. Thank you, Adam.
You're right.
But he's been through this all in the last 3 years, and he's been a great help mentoring all the upcoming students. Okay, so thanks, Adam. There's Spanx. Okay, don't buy your girlfriend Spanx. You only buy girlfriend Spanx if she asks you to buy it. Got it? Okay, so you want to then, very importantly, describe your product. You want to describe your product in a very understandable way. This is a product that one of my startups did. It was a cancer researcher. He had developed a small molecule cancer drug. And what the drug did is this EEE small molecule drug latched onto a cancer cell and was very specific to a cancer cell and latched onto it and locked it down and prevented it from replicating. And what was great about this drug is it did not latch on to healthy cells, so it didn't hurt healthy cells, and so it didn't have all the bad side effects of chemotherapy, because chemotherapy, not only does it kill the cancer cells, it also kills healthy cells. And people lose their hair and throw up. And so this drug was designed to be really specific. Does that sound cool? My mom, when I was working with them, my mom was going through chemotherapy for pancreatic cancer. And so during that time, I watched her hair all fall out and she was throwing up every time she ate. And I'm like, oh my God, this could make my mom's life so much better. You know, can you feel the impact? Okay. So the thing is, when this researcher came and presented this product to me, oh my God. He's like, oh, we have this podge that creates a secondary reaction, which does this, and does, you know, hampers the secondary mechanism of this, and this. And I'm like, Forrest, what are you saying? And I had to keep rephrasing what he said till I finally said, oh, you're a small molecule drug that locks onto the cancer cell and prevents it from replicating. And he's like, yeah, that's what we do. I'm like, why didn't you say that in the first place? Get it? You don't want to sound so complicated that no one knows what you're doing. Okay, ooh, this is my favorite part. Well, not because it's so important. Okay, if there's anything you take away from today, is I want you guys to really think about the F word. And it doesn't have 4 letters. Okay, Lorraine, get your mind out of the gutter. Okay, the F word is focus. Okay, you really today, as you really get going on your startup idea, remember to focus, because things will fall into place if you focus. If you don't, you're trying to do too much stuff. So, the total addressable market, Peter talked about it yesterday, is the potential market that could use the solution that you're offering. So, if you look here, this company is developing a kit. It's developing a kit to convert existing vehicles to an autonomous vehicle. So, what kind of vehicles could we convert? What? Yeah, we could convert electrical car to an autonomous car. What other type of vehicles can we convert?
Trains.
Trains? Motorcycles? Exactly. So this kit theoretically could be used on trucks, cars, trains, electric vehicles. However, if I'm the founder of this company, do I build one kit that's going to work on all these types of vehicles? Will the kit for a motorcycle work on a kit for a train? No, because they're different. Okay? And if you try to do one that meets all of them, it won't work. It won't work for any of them. So what do you want to do? Focus on one at a time. So you probably want to focus on, in the end, they actually started out with focusing on one on trucks. So they developed a kit for trucks, sold it to trucking companies, so that the trucking companies could then have autonomous trucks, and then they didn't need a driver. And then later on, they extended to buses and so on. But what you want to do coming out of the gate is you want to focus. Because if you don't focus, you're spreading yourself too thin, and you don't do anything well. Just for fun. Jay.
Comment.
Jay,
Yes.
if you're trying to get married, it's time, son, it's time to settle down. It's time to get married. Do you go out and date 10 women at the same time?
Yeah. That's what I do anyways. No, of course, I'll pick my favorite and say, you're the one for me.
And work on that. And if it doesn't work, and she says, you're not the one for me, then you move on to the next one.
Exactly.
But why don't you do all 10 at the same time?
Well, I can focus on all of them.
Right. And if you don't focus on them, what happens?
They get angry, you know, they blow up your phone while you're ignoring me.
Okay, so, you know, Jay's a bright guy. He understands that. Use the same brights for your business. Got it? Do you see why it's important to focus? You do one at a time, and then you do it. If you look at Jeff Bezos, what did he start with?
Books.
Yeah, he didn't try to sell everything. He sold books. Did a good job, then extended to kitchenwares, and then extended to clothes, and then extended to digital content. Okay? So identify which target customer you want to go after first. Focus on them. And that segment that you're going after is the serviceable addressable market. And you do not want to address all the segments at the same time. The last thing in there is called the SOM, and it's the share of market. And the last number, SOM, is referring to what can you credibly get in the first year or 2 years, or whatever time frame you set. Okay? So, what's the F word?
Focus.
Yeah, and I start mentoring you, and some of you are gonna be flailing, and I'm like, what's the F word? You will focus, and I go, that's why you're flailing. And that's why he has 5 girls mad at him. You're two-timing me, you're two-timing me. And then one of my students said this, he was kind of playing around, and it was really funny. It was so funny. All the girls got together and all decided to shun him. It was really funny. Does that mean? Oh, he deserved it. Okay. This company, this team came to me from my boot camp in Amsterdam. And it was a team with a very diverse team. It was a physicist, an business person, and a medical person. And they had a solution. They said, we are extometry. We apply optics to improve small particle flow cytometry. Great. You guys want to invest? Raise your hand if you want to invest. But they have a lot of uses. What they do is they identify nanoparticles in fluids. And there's a lot of uses for that, don't you think? Would you invest?
Well,
Maybe. And I told them, no, you guys have to. I said, what do you use it for? They said, lots of uses. And I said, you need to focus. And so they focused, and through the next 5 days of the boot camp, they focused on one application, and this is what their presentation was on day 5. It was a kit for early diagnosis of blood clots. You take a blood sample and you put it through their process, and if you find little broken platelet particles in there, you know that inside the body, it's spontaneously clotting, and that's bad. If a clot gets to your brain, what happens? Okay, if a blood clot gets to your lungs, what happens? What? Heart attack, yeah. Do you see? So you don't, and so if you see these little platelet particles, you go, oh, we gotta administer some blood thinners to prevent clotting. This is actually a $2 billion market. Now, and then the product that they came up with was 30% cheaper than the most popular product on the market, D-dimer. So, would you guys invest now? See, by focusing, the value became super clear what it provided. Okay, now as you go out, I've been telling you to focus, 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 right? But to focus, you have to figure out which segment you're going to go after first, right? So, Jay,
Yes.
How do you choose that first girl to go after?
Real answer or?
Real answer.
The one who makes me laugh the most.
The one that makes you laugh the most. Okay, good answer, good answer. All right. That first segment that you go after when you're launching a startup is called the beachhead segment. And this actually comes from Britain. And what it means is back in World War II, when the Allies were invading the continent again, they had to go find a beachhead to land on that was easy to get to, but put them in a really good position to go and take over the rest of the continent. And so choosing that beachhead for your business is the place that you choose this one market, and from here, it's easy to expand to other markets. I also call it the bowling pin analogy. Like when you're playing bowling, which one do you try to hit? You want to hit one, because then one will knock down all of the others. So basically, you want to choose what is that one pin, number one pin, okay? So how do you choose a beachhead market? Because I'm telling you to focus, focus, focus. Then how do you choose what to focus on? Your way of choosing a girl isn't going to work. Some of these markets are not going to last, okay? So what you want to do is look at which markets are identifiable and accessible. Like, what I mean by that is, which ones can you easily identify and are accessible to your company? It might be that you know people in this market. When I teach my class at Berkeley, a lot of students will choose the accessible market as college students in Berkeley, because they're very accessible. Then, the other metric to look at is that markets that derive high value from your solution. In other words, what you're doing really solves an urgent problem for them, right? And so the intersection of these two characteristics is an ideal target market. Make sense? And Tesla used this approach when they rolled out their cars. They thought, which is a market that we can reach in Silicon Valley, right? There's a lot of rich tech people and have too much money. And then there's out of these tech people, there's a lot of them who are sports car enthusiasts. And they have tons of money. And they want the latest and greatest car. And they don't care how much it costs. So when they developed the Roadster, it could go from 0 to 60 miles an hour in 4 seconds. And it was $200,000. It was the first electric car that goes that fast. And the orders were all sold before they were even manufactured. They took all pre-orders. Got it? And then what happened was people started seeing the Roadster. Oh my God, I saw a Tesla. Like it was cooler than seeing the Lamborghini. Okay. And then more people wanted Teslas, so they launched the second generation model, which is the S and the X, which are around $100,000. Maybe not quite as fast, but I'm still driving a Tesla, right? And then more people, it caught the eye of mass market, and so Tesla then launched the third model, Model 3, which is $40,000, which most people could afford, and that's how they did their market expansion, by starting with a beachhead and expanding up. Okay? I won't make any snide comments about Teslas right now, because the stock has crashed. And my friend, who's a VC, he just posted on Facebook with a tow truck towing away his Tesla. And he wrote, "Good riddance." Okay, so getting to a beachhead market, there's a worksheet in those slides that you can write down which ones are identifiable and accessible, and which ones are urgent, and the ones that are on both columns is an ideal beachhead market. You guys are so serious. sleepy?
Yeah, in thoughts,
What?
in thoughts.
Well, you're actually paying attention. I guess I'm not, I don't see it that often, so I'm kind of surprised. Okay, product market fit. Product market fit means that you've developed a product that the market really wants, and it just fits the market. Just because your product solves the problem for the customer, it doesn't mean there's a fit, right? It may solve the problem, but it may be too difficult to use. Like, you know, when my father wanted to watch, let's say, a baseball game, but he had to work late, he couldn't see the baseball game. They came out with DVRs. You guys know what a DVR is? Digital video recorder with a box. And when they came out, I got him a DVR. So now that should solve his problem. He can record the game if he misses it. But guess what? He refused to use it. He said it was too complicated. He said, this is a piece of shit. I go, Dad, you just go to the program. No, piece of shit. I'm not using it. And so this solution would have solved his problem, but it didn't fit him. He was not a techie guy, and he wasn't going to use it. So do you see how that product solved his problem, but there was no product market fit? And it's really interesting. I like to go to electronics stores and go to the shelves where they have all the returns. And I look at the returns and I go, oh, these do not have product market fit, okay? So not only does it have to address the need, but it has to be easy to adopt. So how do you come up with a solution that's easy to adopt? Especially the team that's going to do VR, right? VR is tricky. It's not easy. How do you put it on? What do I do? And it has to be really easy to adopt to have product market fit. So consideration for product market fit is how hard is it to use the product? You know, basically, what's the barrier to adoption? How hard is it to use the product? Do I have to change my existing behavior? Like, do I have to, if I drive my kids to school and there's a new lunch service that's really good for the kids, do I have to make another stop and pick up the lunch for the kids? That adds another 15 minutes to the drive. That it's not going to work because you don't have 15 minutes in the morning with a bunch of sleepy kids. Another thing is called switching costs. I have an iPhone, right? And I used to do work for Samsung. So they gave me as many free phones and free tablets as I wanted. And I never used them. Why? I kept buying these expensive pieces of shit. Why didn't I use my Samsung phone? What? All my stuff is in iCloud because I had bought $3,000 worth of music. And if I switched to a Samsung, I didn't get access. So the cost of me switching from the iOS to the Android was the loss of $3,000 worth of content. So it really was not free. Another thing to think about is the total cost of ownership. And just until 2 years ago, I bought a new car. But from 2005 to 2022, I drove a little dependable red Prius. Okay? My friend was leaving the country, and he said, Gigi, I can't take my Maserati. I'd like to give you my Maserati. Should I take it? Huh?
Yeah, definitely.
So, who said definitely? Okay, wait, that's Connor. Okay, Connor, what should I take? This expensive car, and it's gonna cost me $10,000 a year to maintain. My Prius only cost me $500 a year to maintain.
Just what's important to you.
What?
I guess you have to answer what's important to you.
What's important to
Does it
me?
meet your needs?
What's important to me isn't having a big hole in my pocketbook, being drained to keep this fancy car I'm afraid of driving because insurance is so expensive. So you have to think about the cost of ownership and not just whether or not it's free. Now, Adam has this one car, which is a real piece of junk. It's just a frame of car, and I'm sitting on the floor. But it's fun. Okay, quantify. So yesterday I talked about World of Warcraft, right? Did I?
Yeah.
In what context?
You just mentioned.
I mentioned. Well, there's my son. Okay? That is Max. And when Max was about 15, he said to me, Mom, can I use your credit card? I go, yeah, what are you gonna do? Buy some software. I'm going, ooh, I'm so proud of him. He's gonna buy some math software to do better in math. A year later, I look at my bill. Blizzard software. I go, oh, I wonder if their software is better than Math Blaster. Blizzard. What did I see? World of Warcraft. I'm like, Max, better chill you. He goes, Mom, I'm so stressed. I've got 3 honors classes. I need a little time to de-stress. You understand? How long are you playing? Short time. Okay. Well, he flunked English. And then I put a sniffer on his computer. How long was he playing?
6 hours a day.
Well, 5 hours. Okay. His idea of a short time is 5 hours. My idea of a short time is 30 minutes. There is a disconnect there. That's why it's important to quantify. Quantify the market size, quantify the benefits, quantify the cost. If you say something is easy to use, then say, in 3 steps, you can get it up and running. You know, you want to quantify. The more numbers, the better. Now you want to calculate the target market. When I started the internet provider in Singapore, I had to calculate what the target market was. And so at that time in 1995, there's 3 million people living in Singapore, about 5 per household, and we were charging $20 a month. So you do the calculation, and the total addressable market for 1 year in Singapore was about 144 million. Follow that? But am I going to get everybody? No. So let's figure out which segment I'm going to go after. I decided to go after the segment of households with students, 16 to 24, because Singaporeans will spend any money they have to help their students get good grades. So that was 35% of the household, of the population. Then, out of that, realistically, was I going to get every household with kids the first year? No. So I guess I would get a penetration of 10%, which is the sum, which came out to be 5 million. So that's a top-down estimation, but I also did it from a different direction. I did a bottoms-up. So I knew that I had enough VC funding and equipment to set up 5,000 accounts per month. Okay? I'll answer in a second. And then at 5,000 accounts per month, it came to 7.8 million. And in the end, how much money we made the first year was 6 million. And so I did these 2 ways of doing it. That kind of got me in the right ballpark of what was truly achievable the first year. Okay, Philip?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, why did you choose Singapore as the only market? Because you said the rest of the market is everything.
The reason I chose Singapore is because I had been hired there to launch a service provider in Singapore.
If you were pitching this to the investors, would you say, okay, the target addressable market is the world market?
Yeah.
And we address some as only the Singaporeans between 2016 and 24. Is that how you would do it?
Yep, if you're doing a global approach, absolutely. Back then, I was just focused on Singapore and trying to get numbers for Singapore.
Can you explain again capacity, please, for the launch calculation, how you come up with
The capacity was, I had gotten $6 million of funding. And with that funding, we knew we could buy so many servers and we have so many people. And we were maxed out at 5,000 accounts per day with that fund.
Part of our organization.
Mhm.
Ask as well, for the 5,000 accounts in a month, are you calculating, like, how would you, are you estimating how many people you would like find in marketing per month, like 5,000 customers, right?
Yeah.
How would you predict you could reach 5,000 or 5,000?
Well, we actually were, at that time, internet was a big deal. You know how it becomes a fad? And they had introduced internet 2 years ago. Malaysia had internet. Singapore always does not want to be left behind by Malaysia. And so adoption was really fast. You know, it wasn't an issue of marketing. It was more an issue of we were limited by how many accounts we could set up and configure and deliver. Yeah.
So is that like a more optimal situation?
Oh, that was very optimal. Except we had too many people and the system crashed. And I spent Christmas Day in the office doing troubleshooting. Okay. So how do you find out these numbers? I'm asking you to pull numbers out of nowhere, right? But there's a lot of ways to do market research. One way is secondary research. Secondary is stuff that's already out there. You don't need to talk to anybody, okay? There's reports, Google searches, analysts, industry events. You read like the descriptions of industry events and they give you a lot of data because they want people to think the industry is really sexy and want you to go. The better type of research is primary research. Primary is when you're actually talking directly to the customer. So that's the highest quality research, right? Talk to the customers, go to conferences, set up meetings, and you have custom market research. Do you see? This costs more money, takes more effort, higher quality, but when you're first doing it, you might do some estimates doing this. Make sense? You guys not asking that many questions. Well, you guys are asking more questions. You're so serious. Okay. Or you can go to annual reports. I was mentoring my executive students last night, and she was trying to figure out how much Uber spends on marketing. And I said to her, just go to Uber's annual report. You can see how much money they have allocated to marketing, right? Here are market research firms. These are the old market research firms. They do all these fancy 50-page reports. The reports cost $5,000 a report. Can you afford that? No. But most large companies, banks, large manufacturers, they have a subscription to these. And so whenever I wanted a report, I took my friend who worked for Cisco, I took her out to lunch and I said, okay, Jashri, can you download this report for me? Pretty tricky, huh? Hey, when you're a startup, you have to learn to be resourceful. Over here, our market research reports are online, and you can subscribe to them. And the cool thing about these, they give you 1 month for free. After 1 month goes out, what do? You create a new email and have another month for free. Pretty tricky, huh? Hey, you are a poor startup. Once you become rich, you can pay for the account. You want to show you have a unique, valuable solution. So you want to clearly describe your solution. What's unique and special about it? You want people to go, oh, this is a new way of doing things. We've never seen anything like this. This is going to revolutionize how we solve this problem. The unique differentiator may not be the technology. It can be how the solution is positioned or how it's brought to market. Like, for example, you guys know these dating apps? Huh? Okay, who's ever been on a dating app? Okay, and what's the difference between Tinder and Bumble?
Girls need to know first and Bumble.
Yep, the girls need to reach out to the guy first in Bumble. So this is targeted at more at women who want to be in control and not having all these creepy guys reach out to them. Okay? Match is for old people like me. That's how I met my husband. Okay? It's like 50 plus. So unless you guys want an old person, you can stay off of Match. And then how about Hinge? And then I forgot what one this was. My kids are using this one now. Like my kids. Yeah. It's like, I asked Berkeley students at one point, how many are using Tinder? And 80% of their hands went up. So, but these are all dating apps, but they differ because of who they're targeting. They have the same features. Do you see? So the differentiation doesn't have to be the feature. It can be which market you're targeting, or who's on the team. Like the difference in price. iPhone Pro Max when I bought it was $1,400. The Samsung was $1,100. The Samsung actually had a faster processor and was just much faster and had a better camera. Why would I buy the iPhone for $300 more? Brand and that sticky to all that content I already have, the ecosystem. Business models. Okay, we're going to talk about this later today, but it's about making money. Okay? Competition, very important. There needs to be some competition. If you're presenting to an investor and you say, we don't have competition because we're first movers, we're the only ones that do this. Kiss of death. Because the investor is going to think, if there's no competitors, there's really no customers. Because if there was a problem, there would be someone trying to do something to solve the problem. Or if you say no customer, no competition, then the investor might also think, you guys haven't done your research. Either way, you lose if you say no competition. There's always some competition. One competition is to simply do nothing to solve the problem. Okay? So direct competition are people who are doing the same thing. So direct competition is people who are solving the same problem in the same way. So how does Pizza Hut solve a problem? What problem is Pizza Hut solving? Hungry. Okay, who's a competitor of Pizza Hut? How come you guys know? It's the same all around the world. Indirect competition is something else that the customer can choose to address their need. Okay? And so in the US, I often get $5 sushi. Our store has $5 sushi on Fridays. And that is a competitor to Pizza Hut because it's fast and it addresses my hunger, but it's not Pizza Hut. Okay, so got it? A lot of times, you guys, it's the indirect competition that's the one that you should be worried about. So for all you biomedical people, older women have this issue oftentimes with uterine lining dysfunction, and then there's heavy bleeding. This company, PNN Medical in Switzerland, they developed a solution where they put a hot balloon into the uterus and they put hot oil into it. And that hot oil, in that balloon, kills the bleeding cells. So this is a semi-non-invasive way. You're not having to cut and make any slices. You just insert the balloon, fill it with hot oil, and it kills the cells. When their patent ran out, Johnson & Johnson copied it. So this is direct competition. The truth, though, is in the US, 70% of women are told by their doctors to simply get surgery and remove the uterus. Okay? And so if PNN Medical is trying to get market share from competition, it's not worth it to get it from them. They don't have very much. They should be going after this market. So, understand direct, indirect competition? All right,
Sorry, the question is, how would they find something that has been established?
go talk to doctors, go talk to patients. Like, I mean,
Like, how would you change the minds of, say, a state doctor? That has no interest.
let's go to market. And so what you know, that's a go-to-market consideration. One thing you might do is go to insurance companies. Why should these doctors be charging $5,000 for a surgery when there's a process that costs $500 and does the same problem? And then the insurance companies won't stop covering surgeries. Make sense? Yeah, we'll talk about that later. But that's a good question. So who's competition? Do you see Amazon? Just for fun. Who do you think Amazon is their biggest competition? Hmm? No. Let's guess.
Supermarket.
No, let's guess.
AliExpress.
No, let's guess.
Offline stores.
What?
Offline stores.
Offline stores? Nope.
Prior.
Okay, one way to look at competition is look at consumer behavior. You want to buy something, you can go straight to Amazon. Or, if you don't go to Amazon, what are you going to do? Google it. So Amazon wants you to do anything but go to Google. If you go to Google, Google will send you to the highest advertisers. And Amazon never advertises on Google. Interesting, huh? And my friend who's a board member of Amazon told me this. I got it from the board level.
Actually, that's not true. I saw Amazon Google Shopping ads. So it's
It's starting to do that?
Products, yeah.
Yeah. But in like earlier days, they were like, okay, getting to market. How is your solution positioned? What's your name? Max. No, it's Max, it's the long Max. Okay, Max. How is your solution positioned? Nike, it's not a shoe company, it's a lifestyle company. It's worth way more as a lifestyle company than it is as a shoe company. ExxonMobil does not call itself an oil company, they are an energy company. Worth way more. And they won't die when we run out of oil. How are you going to get your solution out there? How are you going to market it? We just talked about marketing that procedure by going to the insurance companies. ChatGPT, how did they get out there? Did you see advertising for ChatGPT?
No.
No, you're talking about Twitch. Okay.
They are,
It was all word of mouth. Okay? One way to get your stuff out there is to buy Google Ads. And then think about who you're going to sell it to. Like Shazam? You guys ever done Shazam? Okay. Shazam is on here. You look up the music, and then you like it, and it immediately links you to the iTunes store. Apple bought Shazam. So now Shazam only links to Apple Store. And they bought Shazam for $400 million.
We don't really need to have an app you can ask Siri and choose.
they integrate to something.
But Apple also owns Siri. So Siri and Shazam are all together. Okay. This is the Peloton bike. Its positioning, it's not just an exercise bike. It was a community for women to feel good. And so this became worth $600 million as a company. Nordic Track, which has been around for a lot longer, is only $70 million because of the way they position. Validation or traction. So we're finally going to validation or traction. It is proof that people are interested in the solutions, preferably yours. You can have early customer or distribution progress. You know, if stores start carrying your product, that's traction. It means you're out there. Quotes from customers or partners like, oh my God, I've been looking for this product. I'm so glad I finally can solve this problem. You know, quotes are good, and especially quotes from big companies. And then you don't always have to have customers. You can have usage. You can have investors. But just show there's people out there who are interested in your product besides you. Anything to show people interested. An example of traction is this is a Spanish company. They sell a catalyst that takes carbon monoxide out of airstreams. And the US Navy uses them. Okay, if the US Navy is using this catalyst, this must be pretty good, right? And also the US Navy has a huge budget. So they have pretty good traction. This is a team from my class. They're doing an electrical car infrastructure play. And right here, they're partnering with the France Energy Company, the largest France energy company. So they have a really good partner, which means they have good traction in France because they have the France Energy Company bringing them in. Does that make this? Do you think that's good traction? Okay. The team. We talked a lot about the team yesterday. Is this the right team to make this venture a success? Do you guys have a CEO? Do the members of your team complement each other? Okay, do you guys have different backgrounds, different skills? They have different backgrounds and skills. And I talked to them about this. All these people have different backgrounds and skills. The last point I want to make is you want to feature your experience. You want to feature both success and you feature most failures. Why do you want to do that? It's because anything you've done shows you've learned, you're smarter. And an investor would rather invest in a startup who's failed on their first one than a startup which is brand new and hasn't failed yet. They would rather invest in the one that already has failed. Does that make sense? Why would you want to invest in a failure?
They have experience.
They have experience. And they gained experience losing someone else's money. Here's some examples of some teams. And then it's really good to put a company roadmap, like when you're going to accomplish what. You see? Then the investor knows, okay, they have a logical plan to grow. And you want to have financial projections. Jason Lee from Oxford will talk to you about financial projections tomorrow. But you want to basically show what your revenues are over 5 years, what your costs are over 5 years, and then do you need funding? When your costs are more than your revenues, you're going to be negative, right? And so you're going to be negative, and you'll need to cover the shortfall. And that's usually what you get from investors. Does that make sense? And very importantly, you want to ask an investor for funding. If you say, oh, I just pitched you, but I don't need funding, the investor's like, you just wasted my time, right? So you want to tell them you need funding. Maybe now, not now, maybe later, but you want to tell them that you need funding at some point in time. And then lastly, what milestones will you achieve with that funding? So in summary, these are the questions you need to answer. If you can address these questions, you're on a good start to answer all the investors' questions and raise money. I did a real kind of summary. Instead of long questions, I kind of did a summary of the things that you have to cover in your presentation for Friday. And you have 5 minutes. And teams do this all the time. It can be done. You just have to learn to say things quick and use pictures to convey it clearly. Okay? All right, let's take a break. And let's take a break till 11:15, okay? All right, so where are the teams? So what team is that? What?
It's on mixed up.
What? Okay, you guys should sit with your teams for this one.
It's 3 of us here, so.
Yeah. We'll use that too. And then you want to keep going.
Yeah, there's 3 of us in this team.
It's okay. I was having
Yes, yeah.
So what's like?
You guys, there's a table back here.
Anything else?
I was just saying.
Where do you go? Pick up
All right, this is what we're gonna do, is the next talk is about customer-centric product design. And it's actually more of an exercise type of deal. And we may get interrupted at like 11:45 with a guest speaker. And then we'll come back and continue. Can you handle that? Abraham? Abraham? Okay, so let me tell you a story. Do you like my stories or am I boring you? Oh, do I sound like an old grandpa telling you stories? Okay, here's another story. I taught 3 boot camps, one February, in 3 different countries. And I was tired, right? And I fly back into SFO, San Francisco Airport, and my husband picks me up from the airport. Isn't he a sweetheart? And he's like, honey, are you tired? I go, yeah, that was a long trip. Yeah, I can't wait to get home. And he says, honey, are you hungry? I go, yeah, I'm really hungry. You know, plane food just stinks. Yeah. And he goes, well, you know what I did? I knew you would be hungry. And I cooked you my favorite meal. I'm like, oh, what did you cook? He goes, you know my favorite meal, pork chops and applesauce. I hate pork. Okay, and he's trying to take care of me. But, so he's cooking me his favorite meal. And we drive another 20 minutes. And I say to him, honey, I'm just exhausted. That was a horrible flight. I'm not hungry anymore. I'm just gonna go to sleep. And I'm thinking inside, hungry. Okay. Did my husband love me? Was he trying to take care of me? Did he take care of me? Okay. Do you want to take care of your customer?
Yes.
And are you going to try and take care of the customer from your point of view? Or you want to take care of the customer from their point of view? Okay. This is what this is about. It's get you to remember that. So, remember, you need to get to product market fit. If you come up with a product that just is easy for the customer to adopt, doesn't cost them too much money, and it's just easy to adopt, then they'll be happy and you'll have very high adoption rates, okay? And one of the big VCs in Silicon Valley is called Andreessen Horowitz, and the most important thing they look for is product market fit. Each of the top VCs may look for different things. The most important thing to them may be different. Andreessen Horowitz is product market fit. Benchmark Partners is always looking for a great team. Okay? Sequoia Partners is looking for a big market, a really interesting market. So each of the VCs has different things, but one of the best ones says, we want to see product market fit. And let me tell you, pork chops and Gigi is not product market fit. So you want to do customer-centric product design. Not what you think the customer needs. It's about understanding the customer and developing a product that delights them and they want to use it. Being customer-centric leads to a successful startup. See this cake mix in Japan? Have you guys ever seen cake mix? Oh, thank God. You guys aren't as, you guys are pretty like the US. You talk about cake mix in France. Ugh, who would use cake mix? All right, so US, we use a lot of cake mix. All my birthday cakes were made with cake mixes by my mom. And then what happened is General Mills, who makes these cake mix, they said, let's expand internationally. Make sense? And they thought, let's do our market research. They did our market research and they found a country where people love to eat sugar. And what country was that? Ukraine. Ukraine too. I said Ukrainians would not use cake mix. I know, that's good. So Japan, so they're like, okay, we found this market, they eat as much per pound sugar as Americans do. So they took the cake mix, they translated it, made it into a Japanese version, they took it to Japan, and they did $1 million marketing campaign. And 6 months later, how many boxes of cake mix were bought? Zero. Why? They're thinking, we did our market research, and we saw that they like sugar, okay? But they only did the superficial market research. So they finally sent someone from their marketing team from Minnesota to go to Japan. And the marketing person went to visit a Japanese household. And guess what they found? There's no ovens in Japanese households. They have a rice cooker and they have a stove, but they don't have an oven, so how do you bake a cake? But, okay, this marketing person from Minnesota looked around and they saw something. What did they see in that kitchen? What does every Asian eat? There was a rice cooker. So the guys look, I'm so smart. Let's make a cake mix for a rice cooker. So they go back to the labs at General Foods and they formulate a cake mix that you can cook in a rice cooker. Oh, we're so smart. And they go back to Japan with the cake mix for a rice cooker. And guess what? $1 million campaign. Make a cake in your rice cooker. You don't have to go to the local cake shop and buy a $5 slice of cake. 6 months later, how many cake mixes were sold? Zero. Wait, they did their market research. They saw there was cake. What happened? So they finally hired a local housewife to be on their marketing team. And guess what they found out? Is that in a Japanese household, you cook a pot of rice in the morning, it stays full, and through the day, when you want to eat some vegetables or meats, you cook them, take a scoop of rice, put the vegetables, eat it. So the rice cooker is never empty. And then secondly, the rice cooker, rice has to be pure. Rice is like a pure type of food. It cannot be adulterated, right? So what if you cook a chocolate cake mix in your rice cooker? What happens to your rice the next day? You have chocolate favorite rice. Okay. And then the third thing is the homes in Japan are, oh my God, they're so squanchy. It's like, you know, from here to here will be a 1-bedroom house for a family and 2 kids. There's just, it's scrunchy. And so the housewives will do the cooking and the cleaning, and then they love to get out of their house. And they go to the little cake shop and eat cake and have a cup of tea with their friends. Why do they want to make a cake at home and sit at home and eat it, right? So General Mills totally did not understand their customer. So what happened to the cake mix in Japan? It was a $2 million no-go. So they really didn't get down to the essence of what the customer, how they live life and what they want. So traditionally, when they did, in the olden days, when they did product design, they would sit in the lab, sit in the office, design what they thought was the perfect product, send it out to market, no good. They didn't want it. Then they'd start again. Not very efficient. So in the 1980s, a new way of doing product design emerged, and it's called design thinking. And it's an iterative way where you keep iterating and testing with the customer. You're staying very customer focused. And this allows you to get to what the customer wanted without crashing. Is that what you guys want to do? Do you want to learn how to do it? Okay, here we go. Design thinking is a process for seeing the world in a customer-centric way and apply innovation in solving the problems that you want to solve and define and develop products that delight the customer. If my husband called me live lobster, I would be delighted. But he goes, lobster's not that good. Okay. You know, he's never sat through a whole design thinking class of mine. He really needs to. So in Stanford, when I was there, I was a mechanical engineer. I had to take product design as a requirement. So I took product design. Here's me, little old me, shortest person in the room. You can't even see me because I'm so short. Okay, but it's where the red arrow is. Anyways, and this is one of the things we had to build. We had to build some sort of structure out of foam core and cloth that kept the sun from burning us. Isn't that cool? Well, here's the cool thing is my professor was David Kelly. And David Kelly was the father of design thinking. And at the time I took the class, I thought it was so stupid. This is stupid, it's kindergarten, okay? I wanna do fluids, I wanna do thermodynamics, and this is just baby stuff. Well, guess what? 30 years later, I'm teaching design thinking, and I'm not teaching you thermo. And David Kelly founded the most famous firm, design thinking firm called IDEO. IDEO and Frog Design are similar, but now IDEO is bigger than Frog Design. Isn't that cool? And I just thought it was stupid at the time. You guys might think some of the things I'm telling are stupid, but come back to me 30 years later, okay? Hey, Adam, did you ever think what I was teaching was stupid?
Never.
Okay, can I tease you? Yeah, he was in my class in Berkeley trying to flirt with my student in the front row. And I'm sitting here on stage looking at them, and he's like, I go, ooh, okay, this is a little romance in my front row. Come on. Okay, so this is something. These two young fish are swimming along, and they happen to meet an older fish swimming in the other way. And the older fish nods to the boy fishes and said, howdy, boys. How's the water today? And the two young fish swim along. One of them looks at the other one and goes, what the hell is water? Okay? And so design thinking begins with seeing the water, seeing what's around you, seeing all the little things. And have you guys ever heard of this author called Malcolm Gladwell? He's a really famous author, and I just heard him speak in Qatar, and he said, it's not that some people are smarter than others. He said, it's the people who seem to be smarter are aware of the details. They're seeing, we all see the same world, but it's what details we pick. And the people who pick up more details are the ones that are smarter. So, Ray?
Yeah.
Right? You're Ray. Oh,
You get it, you got it.
See Ray? You're Ray.
Close.
What is it?
2 out of 3 letters.
J. Oh, God, damn. Okay, J. Just picking up the details will make your girlfriend happy. All right. So, design thinking was developed in a 5-step process. And the steps are to empathize with your customer, really understand them. And then the second step is that once you really understand them, then you define what is the problem they have, what are they trying to solve. And then, once you've defined the problem clearly, then you ideate about different solutions. And then you choose a solution that you want to try, and you prototype it, and you test it with the customer, get their ideas, and then you build it, and you test the final product, or the MVP, with the customer. And if it fits, you're good. Most of the time, it doesn't fit, and then you have to go and iterate until you get that perfect product solution that will delight. An example of a product that was developed using this methodology is this Embrace Baby Warmer. 20 million infants that are born hundreds of millions of infants are born premature every year. 20 million of these children die. My son, Max, World of Warcraft kid, he was born 6 weeks early. And he looked like a little Cornish game hen. And my mom actually put him in a baking pan and took a picture. And now it's in this photo album as Cornish gay men, okay? But in the West, how do we deal with premature babies? Yeah, we have incubators in the West, electricity, clean hospital, and you keep them in the incubator till the baby grows to a point they're healthy, and then they can grow. But 20 million die every year because they are in places without electricity and clean running water. So how do we take care of those babies? A lot of the West takes their old incubators and donates it to India or to Africa. But there's no electricity, so they use them as planters. So how do we take care of those babies? Huh? Yeah, because they're kind of like plastic, and there's no electricity, so you grow plants in it, and plants grow really well, but not babies. Okay? What? Yeah, so let me show you what they did. This group of students developed this baby warmer. It's like a sleeping bag. There's these gel packs, and these gel packs, if you put them in boiling water, they collect wood, and they kind of boil these gel packs, and these gel packs come up to the temperature of body temperature. And then you slip them into the sleeping bag, and the sleeping bag is the temperature of a human body, and they slip the babies in. And now it has saved hundreds and thousands of babies. Isn't that cool? And they developed this using the design thinking process. So what happened is they went and they empathized with the customers. So they flew to India, to the villages, and stayed there. And they go, wow, there's no electricity. You know, there's no clean water. You know, there's just not a lot of infrastructure. So then they by that, they define the problem, right? But in terms of empathizing is about really understanding the customer, what their need is, how they go about their life. And the ways to understand the customer is to listen and to observe, right? Like one thing, when I have dinner parties, at dinner parties, I always watch people. And like this one woman, I made a seafood paella. And this friend of ours, she just pushes the seafood around on her plate. Or her husband's like, go, 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 go. And then he pushes seafood. And then, you know, the next day I saw her husband, and I said to him, like, does Beth not like seafood? He goes, no, she doesn't eat seafood. I'm like, Ed, why didn't you tell me? You know? Because now I do not make seafood when she comes over. But you want to listen and observe. Okay? So those are the two main ways to understand the customer. So what I want you guys to do is, how many people here think they are good listeners? Okay, I'm going to see if you really are. Okay, so what we're going to do is find one partner. We're going to pair off in two. Find someone. And when you have someone, raise your hand. There's 5 here. This is not going to work. Okay, you guys got a customer. Okay, listen, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do an exercise. This is a listening exercise, okay? One of you is going to ask the second person, what do you think of entrepreneurship? The second person is going to talk for 2 straight minutes. And the first person, after you ask the question, you will zip it up, okay? And then we'll reverse the process. So, 1, 2, 3. Remember, the first person cannot say anything. Okay, 1, 2, 3, go.
Yeah.
Okay. Time's up. Time's up. All right. Now, reverse.
Did you get, because Helen was saying you were getting a few people yesterday who were quite excited about the live thing, or was it like just only a couple? Or?
Okay. What do you guys think? All right. So the people who had to listen and not say anything for 2 straight minutes. Was it hard for any of you? Raise your hands.
Yes, it's hard.
Natalia, it was hard. Why was it hard?
Wasn't boring.
No, it was challenging because you kind of you want to switch in the conversation and share your ideas, whether you agree or disagree, or you have like you kind of have a feeling that you know what this person is talking about, and you kind of want to continue his or her opinion, like thought. So it's hard to stay silent and actually focus on listening and grasping what the other person says.
Okay. Okay. Any other feedback?
There could be some other tasks that go.
What?
There could be some other tasks that go in your head while the other person speaks.
And
It can be quite distracting.
and you want to express those thoughts. Okay. Okay.
I thought you were listening, like trying to remember everything they say, and like say they give you a good point, but thinking about that point and then move on to something else, and you can't like normally in the conversation you speak to like give yourself a pause, to solidify that particular principle, trying to speak on.
Okay.
I didn't like it. But not before anything. No, it's more like I'm interested in listening to a person, but during this exercise, I try to just remember as much as I can, and not really trying to understand. And that's
Okay. So I have a question to ask you. Do you like talking?
no.
Okay? Okay, so in this, yes, Sophia?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, I agree that you try to remember and not understand. Because usually when I'm talking to the person, like, I'm asking some questions in regards to what they're saying, which helps me understand it more and like kind of comprehend it in my own way if I don't understand something. But when I just listen, I can't like express my question. And then I have to just take it and think about it in my own way, and it may not be the exact same thing that the person is talking about. And I feel like when you ask questions, it makes things more clear for both of you.
Okay, so you guys have all given me reasons on why you should have a chance to speak back and interact. However, the truth is, and I want you to reflect on it yourself, is if you're thinking of questions to ask, and you're trying to ask things from your perspective, are you truly giving full attention to understand the person from their perspective? Okay? You're explaining from your perspective why you want to ask questions. And one thing is, a lot of times when you're trying to get something out of a person and you're asking questions, right? Some people, it's not easy to get stuff out of. And the moment you start talking, they're like, I don't have to talk. And they don't express what they actually have to say. And people who, a lot of times we tend to interrupt someone because we say we're engaged, but what we really want to do is do some talking. And the other person doesn't talk. And I'll give you an example, is my younger, Max, my older son, he's like, Mom, you're always interrupting me, and just let me finish what I have to say, because I feel like I'm the mom and I need to tell him what to say. And when he was in high school going into college, he went through that period where he didn't want to tell me anything, right? Have you ever been through that period, Max?
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't want to tell your parents, especially your mom, anything, right? And so what I found is when I drove him to college, it was a 5-hour drive, big drive, and I wouldn't say anything. And then an hour into the drive, Mom, girls are really difficult. Okay, Gigi, keep your mouth shut. Keep your mouth shut. I just don't understand Kate. Keep your mouth shut. I understand Kate. I've already looked through her Facebook profile. I know everything about her. You didn't get up. Keep your mouth shut. And then you just talk and talk because I kept my mouth shut. So there is a certain value of keeping your mouth shut longer because something might slip from the customer. It's like, yeah, I really want to buy your product, but my boss is giving me a lot of pressure to cut costs. Oh, so there's a budget issue. You see? So it's actually good to prevent yourself from not talking as fast as you'd like to talk. This friend of mine called me up and said, Gigi, I'm launching a new company. I really want to get your feedback. And I went for lunch. And he started telling me about his idea. And I thought it was a great idea. So I said, and you could do this, Drake, and you could do this. He goes, Gigi, stop. Let me finish my idea. And I went, I'm just trying to help you. I think it's great. He goes, no, I just want you to listen to me. And then we ended up getting in a big fight. And I haven't talked to him for 15 years. Because I didn't listen. Okay? So the purpose of this exercise to get you to value is to truly listen. Not just hear, but listen. And you don't have to ask a question. Think about what they're saying. Think about the person. Why are they saying what they're saying? What is it? What are they trying to say from their perspective? And not you asking to understand in your perspective. Make sense? Okay. Then moving on is the other way to learn about the customer is to simply observe. Oh no, don't do that to me. Gosh, jeez. I hate my life. I hate my slides. Okay. I've got the same problem with the animation. I don't know why. It just it's up here. Are we good?
Yeah, no, can you live, yeah, you're there. Got you.
Okay, so the other way to empathize with the customer is to observe to empathize. Okay? Do you remember Steve Jobs? He didn't go talk to customers. Hey, do you think you need some sort of a tablet type device? Do you think you need something like this? No, he didn't ask people, do you need a iPad? No, what he did was go to the store and observe the older people and observe how they were scared of the big computers and they couldn't see with the iPhone. So he thought they need something that's portable and bigger for older people to use. And that's how he developed the iPad, by observing. You can do so much by observing. And so if you read these books by Malcolm Gladwell, he is saying the power of observing details. So, great. Now you've empathized with the customer and you understand them. You think they do, right? What do I like to eat? What do I not like to eat? Pork. What do I like to eat? Okay. If you invite me over for dinner, better have, okay? Then, once you empathize with the customer and you understand them, then you can define their problem. Those students went to India, they saw how those mothers in the rural areas without electricity and running water, how they lived. So they could define the problem is, these women are having premature babies, and there's no electricity to plug in an incubator. So they define the problem. So we need to figure out a way to keep the babies alive, the premature babies alive without electricity. Okay? So then you define the problem. What is the core need? The core need in that case was keeping the temperature of the premature baby warm enough so the baby could develop. It didn't matter how you delivered the heat. They just had to keep them warm. So, one quick exercise I'll have you guys do is write down, talk with your group, and think about who your targeted customer is and what that core need is that you're trying to solve. Okay, after this, Ryan?
Ryan's got slides.
We are pausing.
Oh, close it out.
No, just
you a bunch of resources that you have here in this area.
Can you mute your laptop?
Like you guys are asking me for data, you're asking for this and that. Well, here's the source. Up about. Okay.
1 second. Oh, I think yours.
Sorry about that. I guess it's fine.
Yours?
That's fine.
Yeah, it's mirroring, yeah. Oh, now what's it doing?
Yes, because I haven't got an extension. Extension, but mirror away. Just, yeah. I don't know what's happening on this Okay, we're in the afternoon now, right? Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Ryan Johnson. I head up the Business and IP Centre. I'm going to try and avoid touching this. It feels so strange wearing first time ever having one of these headsets on. So you have to bear with me. But basically, the Business and IP Centre, which is part of the British Library National Network, is here to support everyone to be able to start, protect, and grow their own business. And we're a part of a national network, which is headed up by the British Library London. And to start us off, I've got a little video which gives an insight into what we offer.
Libraries are not just full of books, they're full of ideas. The British Library's Business and IP Centre National Network is leading a revolution by inspiring a thriving community of new and existing business owners. Throughout the year, we have workshops, webinars, one-to-one advice sessions, and panel talks with inspiring speakers, which cover the fundamentals of starting and running a business. Our partnership with the Intellectual Property Office means that we can also give you guidance on how to protect your rights and signpost you to your next move. Our support doesn't stop there. We have over £5 million worth of online market reports from top publishers, company data and accounts, startup books, business directories, journals, and patents available for you to access for free. The UK is one of the best places in the world to start a business. Join our thriving business community at the local library and get inspired.
So that should give you a bit of a sense as to what the British Library National Network is all about. So the British Library London's been going for the past 25 years. Hands up, has anyone actually been to the British Library London? Have you been to the Business and IP Centre? We've got a couple of you, that's good to know. Well, I hope the rest of you will be encouraged to go along after today. So there's 21 centres that sit outside of London, accessible across the UK. And the idea is that the British Library London wanted to make what they've always had there more accessible to everyone throughout the UK. So previously there were people having to travel from as far as Scotland to London to access the resources and support available. This is a little video that shows an insight into the website and how you can navigate to find your nearest one if you're not located here in Oxford. When navigating to the cities, it'll actually also tell you what resources and support that they have on offer. So there you can see Oxfordshire, and as you click through, it'll highlight all the different services and supports that are available and navigation on how to book those resources. Show the music over the top of this. So, basically, the British Library has given us the autonomy to respond to local needs and support the ecosystem as we feel fit, based on the needs of the individuals that walk through our door, whether at the point of ideation, so exploring what opportunities there are out there to start a business, or whether or not they've got an existing business and they want to take it to the next level. This is an ecosystem map that we have on our wall. This was created about 3 months into us having launched the service. I just met with a live illustrator the other day who created this for us, and he's going to add another 40 organisations to this map. This is located on our wall, captures a lot of attention. The Oxford ecosystem is a very active space. It's very siloed and very difficult to navigate who you might be best to speak to, what events to go to, what resources are out there, co-working, one-to-one support, where can you go and capture video content, what events are coming up. So we've been a place to be able to help people navigate this ecosystem space. So this is our workshop room. It's actually a bit of a mess in this photo. This is for a long time. In this space, it's designed to be entirely versatile to meet the needs of any individual that walks through the door, whether they're coming through wanting to access our marketing suite, photography, videography, capturing content for websites, social media, whether wanting to record a podcast, whether wanting to record introductions to their business. We have many people actually capture their pitches with the equipment that we have. We have cameras, video cameras, teleprompters, lots of different lighting that means people can capture things to their needs. Here you see in the photos here, we had people capturing their pitches, entries for an international competition around climate action, people recording their podcasts, capturing nice crisp imagery for their website. In addition to the workshop space that we have where we deliver our events and activities, we also have Hugo. It's a very fitting photo of Hugo here. Which Hugo's role is to deliver one-to-one sessions with everyone. So that's when you get an hour dedicated to yourself to find out where you are in your business journey and what resources and support that we have to guide you forward. Hugo's actually created this information board, which has captured a lot of interest as well about events, news across our ecosystem and events that are happening from partners. So that's 1 hour where you get to go through, I'm sure many of you are aware of the business model canvas. You'll get to focus on your basic intellectual property, so copyright, design, trademarks, and patents, and then also be introduced to our market research databases. So we have market research databases that serve lots of purposes. I never thought I'd ever found myself getting excited by databases, but we have one called FAME, which accesses all of the information from Companies House. So if you're looking to identify what companies are out there already in your sector or industry, you can find out who they are, where they are, what their turnover is, staffing numbers, website, contact details that you might need to do a mapping exercise, and it's very easy to do. You can do it, click a few buttons and you'll have that information readily available to take away. In addition to FAME, we've got databases like Grant Finder, so any funding that's coming from lottery, philanthropy, government, you can access that information as well as incubator, accelerator, and other opportunities that may be available across the UK. Yeah. We also have IBIS World. So IBIS World, any industry or sector insights that you might need, some of those reports can cost thousands of pounds to download normally. You can do that for free from our centre. And Hugo is there to be able to assist with that. So you can book an hour or you can self-serve and come in and access all of that information, which is available within our centre. I should also add actually the how-to guide. So Cobra, as part of the Oxfordshire County Council Library Service, everyone has access to Cobra, which provides how-to guides on starting hundreds of different types of businesses. So actually, it'd be really good for me to get a sense. Are people in the room, are you at ideation? Do you have a business already? So can I just get a show of hands? Do you have a business already? Okay, hands up in the air if you're looking for a business idea. And hands up if you have an idea and you're starting to work on it now. Vast majority of you. Okay, cool. So with Cobra, you can access all the information about the things that you need to be wary of in your company. The training certification you might need, the financials you should be aware of, the affiliating bodies, government entities, websites you should check out, books you should read, podcasts you should go check out. It really does have all that information. Even people who are industry experts, have been running their business for 10 years, they can go on there, look at their industry, and actually find some useful tips. So for those starting out, it really does save you a lot of time to access the key information you might need. We obviously do lots of engagement with the universities here in Oxford. Again, always open to be able to host events from our space. We work with many different departments and universities, societies to use our venue. Our current workshop room can host up to about 80 individuals. We also have a bigger space next door, which we can use for up to 150. You name it, we've kind of seen it happen in the space, all the different types of focuses around social impact, artificial intelligence, engaging government departments. It's all kind of gone on in there, and we're very open as a centre to working with and supporting the agendas of both students and organisations within our ecosystem. And with the University of Oxford, I think it's fair to say that we've engaged with most of the different departments and societies in different ways, and we act as a bit of a convening spot for creating those connections as well. So those who maybe aren't engaged with any of the universities in the city, if there's a benefit going both ways, we'll make those introductions. And we've had many individuals who have gone on to collaborate across general, broader community, public, with university opportunities and vice versa. I wasn't sure whether to throw these slides in, but I think it might be interesting for some of you who may be involved in focusing on a kind of government startup-based startup solution or youth engagement. As a centre, we lean into the priorities of both Oxfordshire County Council, the organisation that houses us, but also central government. So we're working with Innovate UK, so that might be an interesting one for some of you. Innovate UK, the government department responsible for supporting innovation. We host one-to-one sessions with them once a month on the third Thursday of every month. We have a guy called Nick Murphy, who's a growth specialist, come in, dedicate half an hour with individuals to talk about the support that Innovate UK have, whether it be funding, programs, just a general chit-chat. So no matter where you are in your business journey, it's good to maybe have a chat about whether you can access direct support now or whether or not it's something that will be relevant to you in the future. These photos refer to the holiday activities and food program that we ran from our centre. So the UK government has an agenda around supporting young people on free school meals during the holiday activities where they're engaged in a positive activity and they continue to receive a hot meal over the holiday periods. And so we did an introduction to Adventures Academy, Future Tech, Music and Videography. And it's been a big part of some of the work that we've been doing around focusing on young enterprise. These are just some of the photos from the session, introduction to building and flying drones, robotics, coding, taking the young people out and about, and getting them inspired by entrepreneurial activities. We're actually hosting an event for 120 students from local schools on the 28th of April, engaged in their young enterprise projects. So if any of you are focused on working with young people or engaged in supporting community initiatives in any way, do have a chat. In addition to that, we also work with our climate action team, our innovation hub. So our innovation hub are focused on carbon capture, autonomous vehicles, kind of traffic management systems. So I've been able to introduce a lot of startups and individuals who are trying to engage with government departments, just fast tracking their ability to be able to have those conversations around can they work with them, can they test their products, services, and so on. Yeah, just a recap from a young person who otherwise wouldn't have been engaged in anything else. To give you an insight, again, these are kind of linked to youth enterprise. I've got these from a previous presentation, but I can talk to you all more about the general community we support. But insights here. So Tim Parkhouse, he was a youth worker for 20 plus years. was frustrated with some of the challenges that young people were facing and the kind of government's provisions they had in place. Basically wasn't happy with it. So he stepped away from his career and he created a company, CIC, social enterprise, called Get Fed. When he walked through the door of our centre, he was at the point of ideation, kind of scratching his head, knowing he wanted to do something. But he's created Get Fed, which essentially he's got a coffee van, which he takes around Oxfordshire. The young people who are otherwise at risk of exploitation and exclusion from school, involved in kind of county lines, drug dealing activities. He works with those young people on behalf of the schools, engages them directly in the enterprising activity of running their own coffee van, so having the conversations around the event management, actually serving coffee to the teachers who are maybe the ones looking to exclude them or they've had issues with. And the young people receive 50% of all the money that they make on that coffee van. And Tim, through our support, has presented at many of our events. He's actually pitched at the Western Library of the Oxford University Inspire Showcase event, where they came second and they won some money. He's also gone on to benefit from national campaigns through our support, and as I said, been involved. He was actually in the panel last week, which was great at the centre. And then William Arins, his company is called the Drone Rules. He came through our door actually via the library. He'd been volunteering, doing kind of introductions to STEM and drone tech in the library, and he knew he wanted to turn it into a business. So he's got various branches to that business now. He actually does a lot around aviation consultancy, and has even filmed at Formula One with his drones. But he has a big area now also focused on educating young people around becoming drone pilots, also creating comic books for kind of STEM education, and doing lots to support the broader community. And again, through our support, he's been a part of national campaigns, he's been on many panels. He was introduced to the Hill. The Hill is the innovation catalyst for the Oxford University hospitals. So anyone who's looking to sell a product or service to the NHS, you can access their support, where they run day-long courses, incubator programs, market accelerators. Yeah, he's now looking to transport blood with drones, and he's doing a big project with the hospitals around that, which is pretty cool. So kind of got off, came in, no business, now he's doing lots of different things. He's also got 5 full-time staff and an office just down the road here. So one of our flagship events is a Startup Huddle. It runs on the 3rd Thursday of every month. The format is that it's 2 local presenters sharing what they're working on, why they're working on it, challenges they've overcome, what they found useful in the ecosystem. So the room very much learning from the individuals, but also the room contributing back to the founder when they share their challenges. I'm looking for a co-working space. I need someone to build my website. Where can I find funding? Who did you use to manufacture that product? Where are the investors? What events are coming up? Just a big knowledge exchange. We've been running this event on the 3rd Thursday of every month for the past 34 months. We've not missed a month. We're up to 150 participants every month now. So you get representatives from, I would say, all of the organizations, business support, and individuals also from varying backgrounds and interests, kind of colliding in the space, sharing their enthusiasm for starting a business and obviously supporting one another. We've had people collaborate, find investors, mentors. We've had people who have sold their businesses for tens of millions, just participate to be a part of that energy and entrepreneurial spirit in the space. So you never know who you're going to meet, and I kind of recommend to anyone to come and check that event out. It's a part of the Global Entrepreneurship Network, so those of you internationals, you may have a chapter in your area. It runs in 100 cities across the globe. It's Gen Global, GEM Global. You can check out their website. They've got a conference coming up in the US, in Indianapolis in June. But again, they run lots of other programs as well, sector and industry specific. They also have an online portal where you can upload your profile and connect with your counterparts in other countries. And if you're looking for a certain solution to something, you may be able to find the right person on there to help you with that.
Is it free?
Free, yeah, all entirely free. Yeah. Everything I'm talking about today is free, other than the conference in Indianapolis.
So the startup huddle, where is it?
So this happens at our center. So I'm just going to show a little video on it, and then I
think Startup Huddle is a great opportunity to bring the entrepreneurial ecosystem together. There's lots of learning that goes on in the space. Hearing from someone who's facing similar challenges to yourself or looking to drive their business idea forward brings everyone together from different backgrounds, different interests, different stages in their business journey, building a stronger ecosystem here at Oxford.
Coming to these events is what helps me find like-minded people, feel less isolated. Just by sharing your ideas and thoughts on things, people will give you knowledge that they don't even realize is going to be applicable. You don't even have to network. You can come listen to the talk. Just try at least one, because what's the worst that can happen?
It's one of the few opportunities to network with other startup founders, to just exchange ideas, exchange problems that you have. So you come enjoy yourself. I'm pretty sure good things will happen.
Is there food?
There's refreshments, there are snacks. We've got lots of private sector companies kind of queuing up to sponsor us. It's receiving recognition of, obviously, as the largest networking event actually in the UK on a monthly basis. It's rare to find 150 people. But I've just been doing interviews this week for Gen Global, because it's now the biggest chapter in the world. So it's starting to receive a lot more attention. So I think there'll be a really good spread in the future. At the moment, it's biscuits and crisps. But lots of people do go for food and drinks after. And even when I've kind of asked people to leave at the end of the event, for about an hour, hour and a half out the front, there's always people hanging around, networking and continuing to engage in the conversation. So it's really, really valuable. And as I said, it's consistency. You can guarantee on the third Thursday of the month, you'll always find the audience and community there ready to support. And I also, at those events, give people the opportunity to exhibit. So if you have a product or prototype you require feedback on, you can come and do that. I'm obviously always looking for people who are going to present at the event as well to gain that value. But I also work with community partners. So if there's any opportunities coming up in the ecosystem that may bring value to the community, I allow those organisations to present. So we had someone who was kind of offering up pro bono IP support at the last event. The event before that, Innovate UK, talking about one of their new programs. And at the end of the event, I always give people the opportunity to stand up for up to 30 seconds and just share with the room. If you're new to the community, if you're working on a product, you have a problem, you're looking for someone to offer a solution or support, it's a really great place to do that. As I said, we're starting to now get lots of case studies and feedback about how people have found those key individuals or opportunities for attending the event. If you scan this, I can't remember what the slides I've got after this one, but if you scan this, this will show you our link tree. So that's all of the events that are on there, including the Startup Huddle, which is on the third Thursday of the month. Most notably, tomorrow evening, we have an event with a former Google executive who's flying in for a couple of days to talk about her new book. Jenny Wood will be talking about her new book, Wild Courage. She's going to be at the centre for a talk, Q&A, and just general networking. So that's 6 till 8 tomorrow at centre. Our centre is located on the second floor of the Oxford Westgate Library. So at the front of the Westgate Shopping Centre, immediately at the front there on the right, there's a public library. It's kind of hidden, but it does say library if you stand at the right angle. And up on the second floor, you'll find our business and IP centre, and that's where you'll find my colleague Hugo, who is there Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, but all of our events and stuff running from that space. We actually have a Ukrainian-specific event on the 23rd, again, which is on the link tree, which is being run by one of our Ukrainian community members. Also that same week, we have, I think, the developers meet up, we have introduction to artificial intelligence for business, and just loads of other things that are appearing on that. So do check it out. This is Jenny, who's going to be with us tomorrow. It's our inaugural book launch, actually hosting events. So she's over to do a couple of events to talk about her new book. She's a former Google exec, career coach, founder, pilot, and mother. So she's coming in to talk all things about wild courage, and we've got, I believe we had about 75 people signed up this morning. So although it's our first type of book launch for our space, we certainly get the interest, and there's always an opportunity to network and meet lots of individuals when you come through to our events. My email, if you have any questions directly, I'll obviously have, I think, time now for some questions. But also, if you go onto the website, again, in addition to the link tree, you can go onto the website, you can view our space, you can book the one-to-one sessions. And I should add, actually, the bit I failed to mention, the one-to-ones can actually take place remotely. So even if you're not here in Oxford, you're welcome to book it and do it online over Teams, and you'll be able to have that hour with my colleague here. There's a little bit of restriction in terms of what information you can access via the databases. We always recommend databases come in and do it in person. That they are, again, if you're not here in Oxford, but you want to take advantage of those one-to-one sessions, you can book that online. But we do recommend in person if you can, just to see all of the other resources in the space.
And how to get into this startup model?
So if you book that via the link tree as well, so yeah, so you just go through to that, it takes you through to the Eventbrite page. There's still availability. We're about, we're 10 days off the next one, so 17th of April. Sure, yeah, there are no limits, but by the nature of them, it's not mentoring, it's not coaching, it's access to the information and guidance you need to move forward. So some people do come back if they're looking to consume a lot of information specific to their sector, industry, or the journey they're on. But yeah, in general, some people have one and that's enough, and they go off and they start their business, and then others have come back repeatedly as they develop the product, whether it moves from the market research to create the product and intellectual property and so on. It's always worth kind of checking in with my colleague Hugo as well, because he becomes very aware also as to what's happening across the ecosystem. So you may highlight, based on something that you're working on, oh, you should have a chat with this person, or you should go to that event there. Yeah, a lot gets shared with us, and we feel kind of compelled to be able to share that with everyone in the community. So.
Thank you, Ryan. That was a lot of good stuff. We're sorry they're not going to the book signing tomorrow because they have to work on their investor pitch for Friday.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, they have a 5-day boot camp.
Wow.
They started yesterday, and by Friday, they're going to have full investor pitches.
Wow. So tomorrow evening, these guys are,
they're here.
They're in here.
Yeah, and if not, they'll get the evil eye from us. But there's tons of events, did you see? And there's an event for Ukrainians the 23rd. And
yeah, we have a large Ukrainian community at the center. Actually, I failed to mention Anna's event. She's a Ukrainian community member who's focused on creating a kind of equivalent to our startup huddle, known as the Health Huddle. She's working with kind of public health and trying to raise awareness around health inequalities and education for individuals. So her and yeah, lots of other key individuals. Alona Revko, who's a Skoll Fellow, she's actively involved in our community also, and is able to spread opportunities amongst Ukrainian communities.
thank you, that was
Thank
very
you.
interesting. So guys, what I wanted to do is get you started on another exercise that you can do during lunch. Where's this coming from? Hey. Where's that coming from?
There you go.
Thank you. All right. So, you guys gotta figured out the core need, right? And now it's time to ideate. And so, here we go again. On backstage.
Yeah, yeah. You're sharing. I can see that.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? You do 100%. Is it presenting?
Yeah. I can see exactly what you got on the screen.
Oh, I know one thing I need to do. I'm gonna shut it down.
Okay. Sorry? I have no idea. I don't know. Something's happened. Yeah. No idea. I think I might end it now because they're going into break now.
Yeah.
And that was kind of a crap show. That was right. So I'll end this now, yeah. Because I didn't have his slides or anything, so and he had it all on Canva, so it's just